Hey, what's up, everybody? Nitreg here from nitreg.com. Today is day one of the 31-day challenge to get better at poker. Today, I'm just going to be talking about, poker goals and why are you playing poker in general. It's more of an abstract concept, but very important nonetheless. And I think it's a great foundation to go ahead and start this challenge here. You notice in the background, I'm just going to be playing 4-0 unlock. It's not important. It's just something visually for you guys while you guys listen to me ramble. So anyway, first of all, you need to know why you're playing poker. So, are you playing to make money? Are you trying to get better and improve? Are you trying to challenge yourself? Or are you just playing recreationally as a game? I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons why you might be playing poker, but more commonly than not, people want to generally make money, or they want to get better better improve. At least people that are my students, or people that play somewhat seriously online. Now, when you go to like casinos and sometimes online, you see a lot of people that play recreationally, and that's fine. That's why they play poker. They just enjoy playing the game, and that's perfectly fine. But it's good to identify and know why you're playing poker. So I think it's important to just focus on one of these concepts at once. So, I mean, if you're focusing on making money, you shouldn't really be focusing on challenging yourself at the same time. So, just if you're trying to make, a ton of money, you probably shouldn't jump up to a new limit and, play really tough regs and do all this crazy experimenting and stuff, because that's not going to maximize the amount of money you can currently make at your current skill set. Or at the same time, if you're trying to get better, you shouldn't try to like 24 table and just autopilot and grind out a huge amount of money by playing like, I don't know, 8,000 hands a day or something ridiculous. So, I don't know, it's best to, I think, just focus on one concept more than another. But, like, let's say you're trying to get better and improve. You might also make money in the meantime, of course. But that shouldn't necessarily be, why you're playing poker. So just try to focus on one at a time. Let's see. So why is this the reason you're playing poker? I think that's important to ask yourself. Think about why you want to make money, get better, etc., etc. So for me, I started playing just to try to get better. The biggest reason was because I just like to play video games a lot, or at least I used to. I don't know. I really wasn't thinking about making money with poker. I just kind of thought poker was interesting, and I just kind of wanted to get better and improve at it. I found it's fun, and that's kind of what I do with a lot of games that I enjoy. Is I really try to get to a very, not like the highest levels, but a very proficient level where I thoroughly understand the game and I can beat it pretty well. And that's kind of how I approached it with poker, and I ended up learning how to play and beat poker really fast, moving up the limits and everything. My intentions were maybe at the end of the year I might lose $20. I might make like $100. I could, maybe take myself out to dinner or something like that. But I definitely wasn't thinking that this would be like a full-time thing. But I don't know, it's after about a year or so, jumping up and starting 400 NL shots. And, I remember one month where I made more than my dad. And I was like, man, my dad's, pretty successful in life. And, I guess at the time, I can't remember, it was in like low 20s. I still am in my low 20s, but, yeah, I was like 21 or 20 or something like that. And I was making a decent amount of money. I was like, wow, maybe I could play this for a living. And so then my goals kind of changed there. My goal is to kind of make money, and I tried that by, multi-tabling and going for all these bonuses and rake back and a bunch of different things like that, which they're not important, but my mindset did change, and my strategy changed, my goals changed. But now I'm focusing a lot on school, trying to get that out of the way, and I see poker more as a secondary thing for the meantime. 'Cause I think being in the U.S., poker is one of those things that you know, someone can just write a bill one day and this immediately poker's gone. So it doesn't seem incredibly stable for me right now. So I kind of put it in the back burner a little bit. I've gotten better at poker, but my main goal has just been making as much money as possible, and kind of just, making nitreg.com and stuff like that. And when I play, it's either because I'm making a video, or I'm actually trying to get better, or do stuff like my bankroll challenge. You guys can follow that on YouTube, or go to my site nitreg.com and you can see that. But yeah, it's good to know why you're playing poker, and you can't really be wrong when you ask yourself this question and answer it. Just really be honest with yourself. Like, if you're there to just make money, that's perfectly okay. If you're there just recreationally and you don't really care if you win or lose money, that's okay too. But at least know where you're coming from and why, and that way you can make better poker goals and maximize your enjoyment with poker. So what goals can you set to improve your enjoyment with poker? They have to relate to why you play poker, obviously. Goals have to be quantifiable. Well, actually, let me go back to that first point. They obviously have to relate to why you play poker. You can't just have random goals that don't make any sense. So, for example, if you play recreationally, you shouldn't play, when, I don't know, you're in a bad mood or something, because that's not fun. You shouldn't play with people you don't like, or whatever. If you're trying to make money, you shouldn't play at tables with all rigs on it, or just stuff like that. It kind of makes sense to have goals that are around why you're playing. But the biggest thing about goals is they have to be quantifiable. And quantifiable just means that you have to be able to count them in some sort of way. You have to be accountable for the goals. So, for example, you can't really say, I want to play more hands, because what does more mean? Is 20 hands more? Is 1,000 hands more? Who knows? It's not quantifiable. So you need more specific goals, such as, I want to play 1,000 hands a day. So that way, at the end of the day, you can look back and say, did I play 1,000 hands? You look at Hold'em Manager. Oh, hey, I played 1,020 hands. Cool. And then, you met your goal for that day. You want to have specific goals like that. Goals have to also be something that you can control. This is very, very important. So I hope you guys are paying attention to this. It has to be something you can control. So don't say something like, I want to make $50 a day, because ultimately you can't really control that. Even if you're the best player in the world, you can't consistently make $50 a day. It's close to impossible. There's just things that you can't account for. Some days you'll make $1,000 in the day, and some days you'll make negative 1,000, and it's just one of those things that happens. So don't do something like that, because you'll easily lose your goal and not hit it, and it'll discourage you. You should make goals that you can control, such as, I want to stop my session every time I'm down 2 buy-ins, or I want to play when I'm not tired, or I want to get coaching twice a month. Something like that you can, actually control. When it comes to money and things that are variables that are accountable by variance, or accountable to, or subject to variance, I should say. But you should really avoid those, because you can't improve something that you can't control. It just doesn't make sense. So let me go ahead and ask you real quick, where do you see yourself in the next year? So, like, let's say, it happens to be January 2013. Let's say January 2014, or whenever the next year is for whenever you're watching this video. Where do you see yourself then? Where are you at? Are you improved? Are you at the same spot? Have you given up poker completely? So ask yourself that question. Understand that variance exists in variables you can't control. So if you see yourself grinding 200 NL next year, as a much improved player, understand that this may not be realistic. You may be playing at 1,000 NL, or you may be playing at 50 NL. So, like, basically, you can't really look in the future and say, okay, I want to be at this specific limit next year. or I want to be this good next year, because you can't really control that, because there is variance in those variables. So for instance, you might get at a sticking point in learning, and you might go 3 or 4 months without really making that much progress, or you might make double the progress that most people make in just 1 month, and get really far in learning about different poker concepts. So you can't really account for different things, and you especially can't account for where your bankroll is going to be at. So it you know it is best to plan for uncontrolled variance, basically. So, for example, if you want to play at 200 NL, you have to ask yourself, what will I need to do? Some things you can do are study hand histories every day, do poker calculations every day to better understanding ranges. You can definitely get coaching that really helps. You can find people to study with. I have a Skype study group for Micro Six guys, and they all talk about hands every day and talk about strategy. And me and a couple other really good players are in there constantly helping. So you can find you can join that if you want. Just ask me, or you can make your own study group with people that you know and respect, and you think are good at poker to some degree, and join up with them and study with them. And if you're trying to get to like 200 NL, you'll definitely need a $4,000 bankroll to have proper bankroll management. So how will you get $4,000? You have to kind of have to plan for these things, even though it's uncontrollable. You have to figure out what's something realistic that you can try to do to get to those limits, and understand that you might fail those, but that's fine, because you're putting yourself in a good spot to hit those goals. So now what you want to do is you want to break those goals down further into how you want to approach them. So studying, coaching, and networking are all things you can control. You can't figure out how much money you'll make in a year because you can't control winning. So basically this kind of comes back to do things that you can control rather than things you can't control. You don't want to, or you want to focus on a lot of aspects that you can't control, such as how much you study, how much coaching you get, how much networking you're doing, how many hands you play, stuff like that. But you can't really figure out, how much, you're going to make the next year. It's impossible, no matter who you are. So let's kind of give some examples here. Let's say you're at 50 NL right now, and you want to try making over $10,000 next year, which sounds reasonable, but of course, remember, you shouldn't make goals like that you can't control whether you're going to make $10,000 or not. But if we're going to do this, planned unpredictability sort of thing, you want to kind of give yourself a ballpark of what you should do, variables you can control to get to that point. So what we have to do? Well, let's say that you're winning at 2 big blinds per 100 at 50 NL, and you played 250,000 hands this year, and that's what your win rate is, 2 big blinds per 100. So you can do a little bit of math, and you can say, well, at 2 big blinds per 100, how many hands will I need to get $10,000? And the answer will be 500,000. You need to play 500,000 hands. So, a good goal to have would be play 500,000 hands. So let's see. Another thing you can do, though, playing 500,000 hands as opposed to 250,000 hands is definitely a good goal to have. But there are different ways you can approach it, such as instead of doubling the amount of hands, you could double your win rate. So you could try to get a coach. You can try to study a lot more. You can break down the number of hands that you want to play every day, which is something that I mentioned. You could study 4 hand histories a day from your previous sessions. You can write down opponents' hand ranges and combos every street. There's different things you can do to improve your win rate, and there's different things you can do um, uh, to basically just get better at poker. So yeah, basically just understand that there's multiple ways that you can reach your goal. $10,000 is more of a point that you want to get to, but it's not necessarily a goal that you can make because ultimately you can't control it. But it's just important to know that you could approach it a couple different ways. You can approach it by, in this example, doubling your hands you play every day, or you can approach it by doubling your win rate. Of course, doubling your win rate is something that you can't necessarily account for that much either, just because it's impossible to say like, oh well, by next month I will be at 4 big 100 win rate. You can't really know that. It's a variable that you can't necessarily control. I mean, you can get better, but you can't like quantifiably say that you're gonna get better by this much in this amount of time. But there are things that you can do to get better in general, and those should be your goals, such as the things that I mentioned, like getting a coach, talking to other people, discussing hands, and reviewing sessions, stuff like that. So anyway, I hope you guys have thought about this, and I hope you guys have learned a lot. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I'll go ahead and have a video and a post out for you guys then. Alright, take care guys. This is Nitrog from nitrog.com. Peace.